Today I'll be talking about the need for equality and the importance of closing the gender gap. If women and men had equal pay, poverty for working women would be reduced by more than 40%. This means that of the percentage of women in poverty today, 40% could be lifted above the poverty line and could live better, happier, higher quality lives, according to this statistic. You would think that with such a drastic statistic, legislation would be inclined to fight to close the gap and help these citizens that are struggling. Why would someone not want to help this percentage of women in poverty, as it accounts for millions of women? Closing this gap could help women like a mom in Jacksonville who says, "I don't know what or how we will eat from month to month. I have to cut back to the bare necessities, which is rents, lights, water, life insurance, daycare, car insurance, and my car note, and there's barely $100 left for food." Women are struggling, and it is unjust to allow them to struggle just because they are women. There are millions of women, just like this mom in Jacksonville, who can barely keep a roof over their families' heads, and we continue to allow for them to struggle while this gap exists. Women are at a higher risk for poverty in general. Women in America are still 35% more likely than men to be poor in America. This means that women have a higher likelihood of falling below the poverty line, and once this happens, it is an uphill battle to get out of. This is mostly due to the fact that women are forced to live on unlivable wages. Women are currently living on less than $2.15 a day in US dollars. These women are only able to spend slightly over $2 a day, which is clearly not enough for 3 meals for themselves, let alone children if they have some. Closing the gender gap can give women the extra funding that they need, or at least alleviate some of the stress on them. Especially due to women being at a higher risk for poverty, we must work to close the gender pay gap and address this issue to give women a better chance at living a higher quality life. However, to properly address this issue, it is important that we first understand what the gender pay gap even is. The gender pay gap refers to the difference in pay made between men and women. Around the globe, women earn less than men for the same labor. The gap originated many decades ago when women typically did not work and those who did had fewer rights than men, such as limited education. Those who worked were forced to take lower paying jobs or lesser opportunities. However, we are now in a day and age where women are supposed to be equal to men, but this gap still exists. Now, progress has been made, with the percentage of women in the labor force jumping from around 0% in 1900 to about 60% in 1990 in the US. Women are working and working hard, yet they are still not making the same amount that men are. In 2022, American women typically earned 82 cents for every dollar earned by men. This means that women are only earning a fraction of the wage that men are earning when both are contributing to the labor market. To explain this idea, imagine 2 adults, Jim and Kathy, who are both single parents. They both work long hours to provide for their family. However, Kathy makes less than Jim. Jim makes $100,000, but Kathy only makes $82,000. This means that for every dollar Jim makes, Kathy only makes 82 cents. While some people may say that the 18-cent difference does not seem like it would have that large of an impact, when the amount is multiplied to a typical wage, women are making thousands of dollars less than their male counterparts. In the example above, when brought to a big scale, you can see that Kathy makes $18,000 less than Jim. That money could go to many resources for these women, like food, rent, debt, childcare, and so much more. The gender gap in the labor markets and wages has been a widely explored topic in legislation, public programs, and social debates since women entered the labor force. So why has it not yet become equal? Many people argue that this is because women and men tend to work different jobs in different sectors of the labor market, or have different experience, causing their jobs to have different wages. They say that if women and men work the same job with the same experience, then the wage gap would go away, or at a minimum go down to almost nothing. However, this is not exactly the case. Although some would say that the gender pay gap is a result of men and women working different types of jobs and having different experience when it comes to those jobs, the pay gap still exists within similar jobs. When the data are controlled for job title and compensable factors, the gender pay gap narrows to 99 cents. This shows that when comparing similar jobs, experience, and other similar factors, the pay gap still exists. Although 99 cents compared to $1 does not seem like that much of a difference, having women make less than men based on discrimination is wrong, regardless of the amount. Even with only a 1 cent difference, when that amount is multiplied to a full salary, women are losing thousands of dollars compared to men. To add to this, the gender pay gap grows as men and women age. Consider, for example, women who were 25 to 34 in 2010. In that year, they earned 92% as much as men their age, compared with 83% for women overall. But by 2022, this group of women, now ages 37 to 46, earned only 84% as much as men of the same age. This means that as individuals get older in the labor market, women are making less and less compared to their male counterparts. This can partially be explained by discriminatory practices in determining promotions. Men receive more promotions, giving them a higher pay than the women who are being left behind at the same salary. Secondly, this can be explained by women taking on more maternal roles with age that take up more time or even cause them to leave the labor market. This places women behind when it comes to experience in the market, contributing to them not receiving as many promotions and availability of hours to work, which can lower their salaries. This demonstrates that even when women are told that they have equality, that is not entirely true. Secondly, the 1 cent difference from before when applied to a full salary could cause the difference between that mom in Jacksonville being able to put food on the table for dinner that night, or whether she is able to pay the rent for the month. 1 cent can make all the difference in the world, so why should we cheat women of this just based on discrimination? However, even when considering the wage gap between different jobs, we must ask ourselves, why is it that women are typically working in lower paying fields? At every education level, women make up a larger share of the low-wage workforce than their male counterparts. This means that regardless of education, women will, on average, be the gender working the lower-paying jobs. So we must look at why this is, because women deserve to be able to work at the higher-paying jobs just like their male counterparts. The primary reason that women take these flexible and lesser-paying roles is due to societal norms and expectations. Typically, women are seen as the caregivers of the family and are expected to take on the jobs that role requires on top of the job they choose to work. So, this causes women to have less experience in the workforce, so they have shorter resumes compared to male applicants for higher-paying jobs and cannot work long hours because they need to take care of the children or the house. Women are disproportionately driven out of the workforce to accommodate for caregiving and other unpaid obligations, and thus tend to have less work experience than men. This means that these caretaking abilities placed onto women are perpetuating the gender wage gap, so forcing the stereotype of women doing these roles is not fair to them. It is not right to set women up for a role that limits them if they do not want to fulfill it. To give them this right to choose, it is important that we get people to understand why women deserve this choice and examine our societal structures to eliminate the expectation placed on women. When it comes to the gender gap, there is a crucial need to ensure that as many people understand the ethical reasons why the gap needs to be closed. Closing the gap is not solely a women's rights issue, but a human rights issue. Upholding human rights is a necessary part of society, as it is how we keep the standard of interacting with one another. Gender equality is a basic human right accorded to the United Nations, so we must work to ensure equality in all areas. Perpetuating inequality is ethically unacceptable, and as presented above, the gender wage gap perpetuates inequality. A second ethical topic that must be upheld is respect. By giving women lower wages based upon their gender, that is directly placing women below men. That is a very blatant form of disrespect towards the entire gender. That is displaying the message to women all around the world that no matter how hard they work, men will come out on top. That is taking away hope from all the little girls around the world who want to grow up to be the first doctor, lawyer, or teacher in their family, but see that no matter how hard they try, that their male peers would come out on top. It is discouraging to all the little girls around the world to see moms, like the mother from Jacksonville, struggling to meet basic standards of living despite working as hard as they can. So, a change must be made. If not for you to uphold your moral principles, then for the little girl that lives down the street who wants to grow up to have a good quality of life. We must allow for women around the world to have the respect and equality that they have worked hard to earn by eliminating the gender wage gap, because unequal wages do not do this. So, the question can be presented of, what do we do? First, to address the societal norms that push women into lower-paying jobs, we must examine the societal structures in place that perpetuate this. We need to examine the root causes of these structures and slowly begin to shift our thinking. Rather than picturing a women in caregiving fields, like nursing, we need to not be surprised to have a male nurse. Shifting perspectives is a crucial piece of changing societal structures. However, for this shift in perspective to work, there must be people fulfilling the roles that people are imagining. This means we must support those who are taking strides in fields not typically dominated by their gender. Supporting these individuals is a step that we can make today, and we must work to make it. One way we can work to accomplish this is through funding childcare programs and early education programs. One of the main reasons women must take jobs surrounding their gender norm is so they can have flexibility to watch their children. Along with this, childcare is expensive. Childcare costed more than the median rent in every state in 2012, yet access to reliable childcare is a requirement for working parents to maintain employment. This means that even the families that have childcare near them might not be able to afford it to keep a roof over their families' heads. Supporting more access to affordable childcare will give women the freedom they need to be able to work these jobs. Progress can be achieved through supporting initiatives that are working towards equality or just using our own voices to speak up about this issue. However, these initiatives should address these cultural issues in a way that respects the women they are defending. According to GIWPS, one of the ways of doing this is involving religious or traditional leaders because they shape community values. So, if we want change to be done in a respectful way, then they can share with those who follow them that it is crucial to respect the change that is occurring. They will have a direct influence on how smoothly and respectfully this cultural shift happens, so it is critical to involve them. Finally, you can use your own voice to bring awareness to the issue. People cannot make change if they do not know that one needs to be made, so we must make them aware. Speak up because making a change now is crucial and there is no time like the present, so it is critical to act now, not only for women, but for everyone. Thank you.